I remember like there were some producers that texted me, oh my God, it's like Singapore won the World Cup.
In real life, what if you don't meet your soulmate? But what if you were to die and in the spirit world, you meet the love of your life?
You know, I'm actually really proud that there's a lot of interesting talent coming out of like our very small sort of island
Precisely.
state.
I was just thinking that, right? Because a population of really maybe 3 million real Singaporeans, the export has been amazing at the festivals, right?
Yeah.
If you look at the films, there is foundation,
Yeah.
right? So you will have individuals that will invest, and you can see that they are world standard. Now, their films will not be forgotten. They will carry on. I directed a film called 12 Stories, and after that, I just thought it'd be wonderful if we could have a film commission. And a lot of people were telling me at the time, Eric, forget about it, it's just not going to happen. But in life, strange things do happen. Then I decided, after having directed 12 Stories, which went to the Cannes Film Festival, the first Singaporean film at Cannes, to write a white paper with James Toh, my co-screenwriter for 12 Stories, and my actress in 12 Stories, Lucilla Teo, to have a film commission. So what we did was we sent it to the Prime Minister's office. Now, a couple months later, as I was at the Singapore International Film Festival, I happened to bump into George Yeo, who was the Minister of the Arts at the time, and he looks at me and he says, it's gonna happen. And he goes, shh. And the Singapore Film Commission happens. I'm just so happy because it has paved the way for a lot of our local filmmakers to get seed money and to fly that Singaporean flag high up at international film festivals. I made several short films. One was Barbie Digs Joe, which is about the G.I. Joe action figure and the Barbie doll. In 1994, I made a short film called Pain. I won this special achievement prize. And when I went backstage, the jury told me, this is sponsorship in kind. I thought, wouldn't it be nice, right, if I were to ask these sponsors to help me with my first feature film? And that was Mee Pok Man. I think in life, right, it's always, if there is a will, there will be a way. My mother seriously introduced me and my sister to the best form of cinema, right? Because if you look at horror, it's the temple of it all. It never goes out of style. It's everywhere, always through every decade, and they can be done for very little money. But yet, the response can be huge. In real life, what if you don't meet your soulmate? But what if you were to die and in the spirit world, you meet the love of your life? Now, that's the topic for my latest feature. I just shot in Japan, right, called Spirit World, starring Catherine Deneuve and Yutaka Takanochi. Love will always be there, whether you're alive or dead.
I discovered very early that maybe I wanted to be a filmmaker. I decided that at a very young age, at 15, because they say in order for you to become a filmmaker, you need to practice. So I needed a camera. And I went on hardwarezone.com, used all my ang pao savings. I remember I paid like $800 for a second-hand high-8 camcorder. And I met this guy, this random stranger outside McDonald's. Literally, I gave him the money and I had this camcorder. I bought some tapes and I was filming my Sec 3, Sec 4 class for a whole year. I actually bought a book, Adobe Premiere for Dummies, and I taught myself video editing, and I edited all that into a 43-minute documentary. And that was actually my submission film to the School of Film and Media Studies at Ngee Ann Poly. That's how I got into the interview and that's how I got into the school. Well, even until now, I'm still astounded by this unprecedented success of Ilo Ilo. It's never happened in Singapore. The film won the Camera d'Or, which is really prestigious at the Cannes Film Festival for Best Debut Film. I remember there were some producers, from the industry in Singapore that texted me, "Oh my God, it's like Singapore won the World Cup." And because of that, it really put this film into that huge international spotlight. The film was distributed in 30 countries in the world. It got a tremendous reception, both critically and also amongst audience. And overnight, people knew who was Anthony Chen. It really opened a lot of doors, and it allowed me to widen my networks and contacts. It's built the resources for me to make other films. I think making films in Singapore is still very personal and very special for me. It's a community of crew and actors. It's like working with family. I find myself having this bizarre existential crisis at the moment, because the world is changing so much. We are all long-form creators, we make movies, episodic TV series. Yeah, but we are in a world of TikTok, we are in a world of social media.
Yeah.
I don't even have TikTok on my phone, to be honest.
I also don't have.
Yeah, so...
But it's so rapid.
How do we sort of reconcile, how do we sort of negotiate this changing climate and world?
You see, I think the problem is we also can't be dinosaurs, right? And everything evolves. And unfortunately, for me, the favorite cinema decade, right, would be the 70s films. Jaws, right? Straw Dogs, great films. But if people were to watch these films today, they'll say, wow, so boring. But back then, Star Wars was, seriously a commercial film. But if you look at Star Wars today, by today's standard, the velocity in terms of how the form has become rapid. I come from the MTV generation, right? MTV was 3 minutes, super fast. But this, talking about a couple of seconds, right? It's a certain format, but I still feel you will have an audience, regardless. For me, as a filmmaker and someone that really loves the medium, I want to push it. But you're going to get a lot of these other kids just for the quick fix or for the series. But as far as I'm concerned, I think when I die, and hopefully there will still be a few more decades to go, cinema will still be there. And it will still have that audience. You will still make your films. I can still produce my films. And, I think that's a good thing.
The filmmakers have come of age. I really think we are entering some kind of a golden period. My biggest wish right now is that it's not just about the government funding the films, because compared to the rest of the world, we actually do have very good funding structures. But I'm really hoping that the public actually goes out to support and discover, all this talent.
We can forget about Singapore public. Our films just have to travel. We want to make films for the world market, and that's it.